What I'm going to do now is something a little bit different. I'm going to do a portrait, still using the scroll saw, but a little bit more involved in cutting, but overall simpler project. No assembly per se. I've got a template already attached of an action scene with a bass, and I'm going to cut it out after drilling the holes and then make it into a frameable portrait that you can hang on the wall or something. But it's all with plywood, because that's a good sturdy wood and easy to do the fine cutting this requires. And then maybe some felt and a sandwich board on the back to finish it out. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, stick around and maybe we'll all learn something. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drill out the holes on the areas that we want to cut out. But you got to be careful that you don't get carried away and drill a hole where you don't want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start drilling a bunch until I get tired of doing it, because there's going to be a million of them drilled out here. And we'll zoom in a little bit and you can see what I mean. I'll show you exactly what kind of little bit of cutting we're going to be drilling we got to do. All these pieces have to be cut out, and they're all going to require special handling all through the project, and it'll be a lot of cuts. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Okay. Rule of thumb, you want to use a drill bit as small as you can and still be able to get the blade of your scroll saw through. That's most important if you're cutting out really tiny pieces and your drill hole risks becoming so big that it occupies too much of the space that you cut out and it looks like a drill hole instead of whatever the shape is you're trying to cut. But these are going to be pretty good. It doesn't really matter where you start, but you got to make sure you go all the way through. You can adjust this drill press up and down so that you can drill almost anywhere. But you get it set, because this thing is so adaptable you can use it for other things, so that the bit goes well down below the depth of the wood, so you make sure you go all the way through. Okay, we'll zoom back in and do some more cutting here. Okay, here's one of these pieces that's really delicate. There's just one little hole there. So that's going to be hard to not make it look like a hole when I'm done. Okay. I think I'll drill my hole at the other end of this thing. No, I think I'll do it here instead. I think that's where the knot would be on the hook, so that'll look more natural than having a bigger spot at the end of this rather narrow thing. Okay. And that's sticking up in the center. Remember, I'm not going to save these pieces, so I'm just going to cut them out and discard them, so I don't have to worry about drilling in the thing itself. Where's the thickest part of that? That's about there, I guess. See, I'm going to cut out all this around it, and hopefully that hole will be disguised when I'm done. I'm not going to try and drill all these out tonight. I'm just going to do a bunch of them, then I'll come back and cut out some and drill some and cut out some. Oops, almost got in the wrong spot there. Okay, I'm going to drill some more and then we'll come back. Okay, we're going to start cutting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to begin with a number 3 Olsen Scrollsaw blade, one of the Mach series. I found that they're a nice combination between the super thin number 2s and the bigger, thicker number 5s, which tend to be like really powerful, sharp blades. And these allow a lot of good quick turns and maneuvering and have a lot of durability. They're a reverse tooth, so the bottom part, third of the blade, has teeth going up. This keeps the bottom of the piece from flaking off as you cut. So let me attach this, and then we'll be ready to start. Okay, I've got the blade attached but loose. The way this project works, since I've drilled all these holes, I have to insert my blade tip through the first hole I want to cut. So I'm going to start off pretty simple, and maybe start with this bigger chunk here, and then I'll just, as I get used to the wood, I'll get into the smaller and smaller pieces. I like to start off slow on the easier cuts, until I get used to this particular piece of wood and the way it's going to cut and everything. Because different thicknesses have different properties and all this sort of thing. So, okay. I've already started this and cut out a few pieces you can see here. Now I've got the blade set to start on this next piece here. And I was starting out with simpler areas that weren't too complicated for cutting because I didn't know how this wood was going to cut. I think I had mentioned that in an earlier video. Wood tends to have its own personality, I think. And so when you're cutting on it, start out slow and get used to how it's going to cut and how the blade works with the wood and everything else. And then as you get into it, you can speed up and do different things. I'm also using this guard because I noticed this wood tends to grab my blade and make it stutter and shut up and down, jump up and down. And this will keep it from happening. I can actually lower it just a hair more. Alright, we'll zoom in, and we'll go. I'll get my wind blowing device here. That's attached to that's a little pump attached to the arm that goes up and down. And that blows just enough air to keep the sawdust that forms as you cut from building up and blows it out of your way. These Olson blades cut so well and so quickly that we're operating at a very slow speed because it cuts this wood so quickly. And I've lost some of the paper there, so it's kind of hard to see, but I can start on this side. And this last piece will just be a simple, and I made a mistake. Try and salvage it, come back, and just live with it. I went out into the white a little bit too far, that's alright. And the white part is that part that I'm going to keep. So once you cut into that, you cut into it, it's done forever, there's no going back. All the gray part's going to disappear, and the only thing that'll be left is the white part, the part that's covered by the white paper. Okay. Alright, we'll zoom back. Reduce the tension, undo my finger screw there, prop up my arm, throw that in the bin, and go on to the next piece. Okay, I'm just going to cut out this little series here. You'll see how quick you got to go. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 little cuts there, and you're not even getting anywhere. And each one requires one of these activities. I'm going to start whacking away at this thing. Where's that one? That one's right there, I think. Generally, it doesn't really matter which hole you pick on the bottom. You really don't have to pay attention to which one it is unless you want to. Since you got to do them all, you just go. I generally try and cut out the little pieces in the center of the piece first. Get all this done before I do the out part, the bigger pieces. Because my theory is that the wood is still strong until you cut these out. And once you cut this out, all it's going to be left is this white part, which will be wood, and that's going to be really thin and real delicate. So Once you start cutting all this out, you got to be careful.